welcome to a podcast. So, my name's Adam. You're on my channel if you're watching this, so I would assume you kind of know that. If you don't, introductions. My name's Adam. I am a writer, animator, voice actor, sometimes voice director for some indie games every now and then. Basically a lover of creative and indie work and this whole art scene. That's fun. So what I want to be doing is I want to start, now that my web series for a season has ended, taking kind of a break. I have another series that I'm working on with some other people, but I want to start adding new content to my channel in the meantime, sort of consistently. So I kind of want to have a podcast where I might interview other people of creative influences, writers, other directors, animators, game designers, anything in that sort, even actors, and just have everyone share their experience and plug their projects and talk about their projects. And I feel like we're in a world where there's a lot of indie content, but not really a lot of people talking about it, and like finding a network and getting people to see this is kind of difficult. So with me, I have, you can introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm a Bud. I just do stuff.
He does stuff. We actually, we're on an indie developer Facebook page, and he's got a really cool project going. That's on Kickstarter right now. That, correct me if I'm saying it wrong, Abyssian Knights, right?
Yep, that would be correct, actually.
Awesome.
It's kind of hard to say it wrong, actually.
I know. It's just I like to throw the warning just in case. But so you're making an anime web series, and you're doing it differently too. I'm noticing you're doing with Unreal Engine 4, right?
Yep, we're essentially what I'm doing is I'm taking the process that the Arc Systems Works did with Guilty Gear.
Okay.
And just applying it. So instead of actually creating it as a game, I basically take that same rendering pipeline and actually just roll that out as a web series.
That's awesome. So it's like, that's definitely not. It's not what a lot of people think of when they come to like web series. I mean, I guess people the closest thing that someone will think of is for indie web series is going to be Ruby. Because
and that's actually very much what started this.
Nice.
Originally we were kind of aiming for that Ruby kind of style to it.
Okay.
And then I was like, you know what? I'm pretty sure we can do better, at least visually, right?
Right.
So when I did some research into it, and when I saw Guilty Gear Xrd for the PS3, I'm like, shit, that looks 2D. But it's 3D because you can see the models, you can see the polys, and I'm like, shit, we need to just go in and reverse engineer this. But thankfully, Junya Motomura or something, whatever his name was, the technical artist there, he actually did a GDC talk that broke down how they did Guilty Gear Xrd, and that helped me a whole lot.
Oh, nice.
So at least that way, it's like I have at least a starting point,
right.
And of course, it's kind of hard making an anime outside of Japan, right? Because if you do anything that's anime, and it's like if it's not made in Japan, it's not really anime.
Right, and that like leads
to a curveball on this.
That leaves
right?
that actually segues into something else too that I noticed. Because there are other people that I see online that do, I do an indie web. I call it an indie web series, mainly because I want to avoid the wrath of the anime fans.
Yep.
And I love anime, and it's definitely, like, what I do is definitely influenced visually by anime, but at the same time, it's like I want to have my own style and develop something, but it's like, anime is becoming like a trigger word, I'm noticing.
It pretty much is. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, people get offended if you make a project and call it anime and it's not made in Japan.
Oh my god! Yeah, Ruby got like shredded on when it was
Ruby
like when it was thrown on like Crunchyroll. Like, this is an anime. It's
right?
like, oh my god, it's chill.
Exactly. So the thing is like when I'm working on this project, it's kind of like, well, here's the thing: the production happens to be here, but my character designer, she actually is from Japan. She's worked on She created the characters for Black Bullet, created the characters for the short form anime She and Her Cat, and she was also one of the animation directors off Attack on Titan. no, not animation director. She was actually one of the key animators off Attack on Titan. So it's like really like, so are we really anime or are we not? Because really all the visuals, the core visuals came from Japan.
Right. Yeah, how did that happen? Like, is it just like networking channels that like something?
It's a networking. It's a lot of networking. I mean, prior to doing all this stuff, I used to do a lot of what I call a back end ninja work for a lot of companies.
Okay.
And so I'm stupidly well networked when it comes down to the video game and animation scene.
Oh, that's awesome.
Literally, it's one of those things. It was like, I haven't actually officially worked on any real anime, but if you've seen Under the Dog, the Kickstarter, that
yes, I have seen that.
If you look at the credits under the special thanks section, you'll see my name.
Awesome. See, I'm like the opposite. It's like I'm kind of like networked into the voice acting industry, like with a lot of friends that work on my series that we kind of all grew up like online, and like everyone branched out into different things, and so a lot of they've become professionals in the industry, and I've kept in touch, and I do graphic design and some work for some
and that's
English companies over here, and like I've done some Walla for some stuff out in New York, totally only because it's like I know some of the people and it was like network opportunity and whatnot, but it's like that's totally where my like network is right now. It's like a lot of different voice actors that it's like, hey, do a voice for me. Awesome. That
probably works out really well for you when you need voice actors, right?
Oh yeah, it's like it's like a lot of them are friends too. So it's been really fantastic. Like, Kira Buckland, who plays one of the female leads in my series, does a shit ton of anime out in LA. Crap, what is she? She just got cast as like the lead in Asterix, or I think it is.
I think so.
I think it's Asterix War. I think that's what it is. She was like
that sounds right.
Yeah, she was like the lead in Excel World. She was Kuro Yukihime in that. She was Izumo in Blue Exorcist.
I don't know. I actually don't do of anime. I'm one of those guys.
Yeah, no, it's like I only know it because friends, and whatnot. But it's like I have a lot of. It's like my network has become like that, which has been fantastic. So it's like I have a really big pool of actors and like friends that are really chill about like if they have the free time to help out and whatnot. And I actually started briefly. I kind of helped their Kickstarter failed. But I was helping to cast an indie mech game that they were trying to do, which I think they're reconfiguring what the hell they're going to do and try it again down at some point. But going back to the whole anime trigger thing, I've seen some people online that are going out of their way trying to make an anime or a cartoon or whatever you want to call it, and I feel bad for them because it looks great for like no budget when it's like, okay, you have like 2 people doing it. And it looks really good, but then you see like all the comments are like people, oh well, this isn't really anime, and this looks cheap, it looks fake. It's like, wow, it's like no, I'm seeing, and it's really sad. It's like I don't know if you've ever experienced it or anything where it's like I'm seeing a lot of people lack empathy, or like online. Yeah, I know. It's like, this is disappointing. But. Going back to your Kickstarter, because you're only aiming for 30,000, right?
That's 30,000 Canadian. That's
Canadian. Yeah, I know.
Like 22 US or something like that. I think we're like at 25 cents or 30 cents to the dollar.
Yeah, I think because I'm in New York, so it's showing up as 23. Yeah, thousand. So that's
really, really, really low.
That's really, really low for an anime.
That's the thing. One of the purposes for this was to really demonstrate that it is possible to produce something similar to Ruby at a much lower cost. Because with us using a game engine, we have no render time.
That's tremendous.
If you really think about it, it's like on average, if you're trying to render something out in Maya and it takes you like 7 or 10, so maybe even at maybe 3 minutes per frame, and you have to render out like 23 or 24 or 30 frames a second, that stuff adds up.
Yeah,
I mean, we're cranking out 60 frames a second.
That's genius,
right?
Yeah,
so it's one of those things. It's like, you know what? realistically, video games, some of the cutscenes in video games look like freaking in this stuff. They look like web series or something that you would normally watch anyway. So like, why don't we just integrate this pipeline and merge it with the animation pipeline? There's always been this disconnect between the two because the two sides don't talk to each other.
Yeah, you're totally right on that one.
You know what I mean? So it's literally, it's like, the way I see it is right now. It's like there's been a recent trend of anime companies doing the 3D CG stuff, but it looks like crap.
We're not going to name names, Berserk.
Right. It's just one of those things. It doesn't hit that mark, and then at the same time, on the video game side, whenever someone's doing one of these anime inspired 3D games, it looks nothing like nothing like an anime character, right?
Right.
So like what I'm doing right now is I'm basically taking the technical edge that we have in video games, but also borrowing just the art styles from 2D anime. Mm-hmm. Also apply that into the 3D CG pipeline, right?
That's awesome.
Like, I addressed basically 2 or 3 problems at the same damn time. It's literally how do I make 3D CG anime look more 2D? How do I cut production and time and costs? And how do I make video games look better? Right?
Yeah. So it's like what I'm seeing. It's like I've seen a few people go on Kickstarter, and whether they had like a full team of animators behind them trying to do an animation, or it was maybe just one person. A lot of the mistakes I've noticed was them like shooting for a tremendously high amount of money when they had like no real experience, or there's no like people don't know who they are,
And the funny thing was like, so prior to me launching this, I've worked on a couple of other Kickstarters before. Mm-hmm. Underdog was one of the ones I was kind of associated with, which is why I'm in the special thanks, right? And when I was putting together the Abyssian Knights Kickstarter, all the folks I was talking to, they were telling me like I should aim for it, something higher, like $200K or something.
Right.
I don't know if that's gonna work too well. Even though it's like I probably could do it if mm-hmm. people knew better or if they knew the IP better. But as a nobody,
right.
30K is already stretching it, because really, as a complete nobody indie, 10K is kind of like that kind of.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
it's like I hate the word nobody too, because it's like that's not even. It's like even if you're not a nobody, it's if you don't have an audience already, it's very difficult.
It's actually insanely difficult, and the thing is I can't leverage on any existing audience, right?
Right.
So it's like, so really at this point, I am a complete nobody that you or someone else has ever heard of. Mm-hmm. I mean, yes, my character designer, she's done a lot of work, but she's not famous to the point where having her name on there just drives people to it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And it's really cool because I'm on the page, and you actually your Kickstarter got selected as a project they love. So
yeah, and that happened on day 2.
That's awesome. Like, did that now? It's like I'm not familiar with, because I kind of just I want to avoid Kickstarter, because it's like I've had the ambitions. Like, all right, I've had the things where like I'm going to do an animated movie and I need to do this, and Kickstarter's great because Kickstarter's is about helping the people who don't have the money and the backing or anything, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh wow, everyone's putting up these super professional looking projects, and now people are just focusing on those. It's like, all right, let's shy away from
Kickstarter. I found really is really geared towards 2 demographics. You're either the professional that everyone's already known about,
right,
and people, you actually have a big following. So like if you're Yu Suzuki with you're trying to launch Shenmue 3, it's kind of like you have both an IP, you as the person are well known, your IP is well known. People are just going to throw money at you.
Exactly.
Right. And on the flip side, it also works really well for the truly small indies with very very modest kind of goals. Like it's like I want for me to do say I want to record an album and I need $5K, or if I'm trying to do a book and I need a couple $1,000. That's doable. But when you're in this weird spot where I'm in, where you're kind of like in between, it's terrible.
Yeah. Like I'm not really known. It's like I have any fan base I have is tremendously small. a lot of my friends are far more well known than I am, but I wanted to do something online, and because I have a day job and I have all these other freelance works that I do, so it's like I do all this stuff on my free time between all this other stuff that I have to do. And
the thing is, to be totally honest, you actually have an advantage over me if you were to actually do a Kickstarter, simply because you actually already have content.
Right, but it's like it took me 3 years to get to this point.
Yeah, no,
yeah, it's like because what I want to do, but it's like I want to have even then I'm still extremely hesitant, because it's like I'm doing for what I'm doing in Flash because I'm able to do it on my time. I have a Cintiq companion, so that thing comes with me where I go, and I'm able to. It's like I know I could do better, but I'm holding myself back because it's like I'm not at a point where I can do my best at like a consistent pace. So it's like the one thing I've noticed for online like web content, it has to end up being like a mix of good, quality and consistency. Because you can have like I've had a lot of friends that are so much more talented animators than me. Oh my god, it's like it's insane how great they are. But they might take like a year and a half to 2 years to do like 2 minutes of that extremely high studio quality work. And as everyone knows, online like audiences are very short attention span. They need to be engaged consistently. So it's like I released these 2 minutes of this awesome story. 2 years later, here's the next 2. They're not gonna really be able to pick up on it. Like if it was like a standalone fan thing, they wouldn't care. They'd probably go nuts over it. But if it's something like long form storytelling,
it's gonna take a while. But that's the other reason why I developed this. Pipeline, because the benefit of working with 3D means you can reuse animations, and we actually mocap everything.
That's awesome.
So literally, it's kind of like for us, it's no different. Essentially, the pipeline that we actually film with is actually the same pipeline we use when we're filming live action. So it's like we bring in an actor, strap them in with it in the suit, record it, and then just send it in for cleanup. Right. So essentially, this way we can crank out more content. The only thing is, we decided to do something that was action combat oriented. And it's kind of like literally like trying to do 30 seconds of a combat scene is way more work than say half hour worth of daytime TV kind of thing where people just watch. Right. So, but it's one of those things. Like the way I look at it is, I aim for the extremes. Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, like the character art style. If I can hit the anime, that proper anime art style, everything in between is easy to hit. Nice. If I can hit proper Asian film cinema style action in shots. Mm-hmm. Doing all the shots in between are going to be really easy. Right. So it basically just means that instead of incrementing, I just go to the end.
I'm kind of similar in certain aspects. I'm still learning with certain things. It's like I've gotten to a point where I know what I want to do and what scenes and angles I want to show, and I'm at a point where I can actually translate that. Yep. Not completely well yet, but it's there. And there's certain things that I want to do that because I do mecha, in like frame set, and everyone's like, "Why aren't you in 3D?" I'm like, "Because I want it consistent." You're insane. Yes, I know. I am extremely insane. And if I could,
have you ever considered just using like a 3D a proxy of some sort?
Considering like now that since I finished the first season, so it's like that's all I wanted that to be consistent. I didn't want to do a drastic style change in between because I felt that might be jarring. I wanted to finish one full season, like one full act arc, whatever you want to call it, consistent. I know nothing about 3D.
It's not that bad, really.
That's what everyone tells me, and I'm just like, new thing.
Well, I mean, to be totally honest, the way I would approach this, just to speed up the pipeline, is I would probably keep it with the 2D thing, but when you're trying to sort out the shots, trying to sort out the shots in your head is a pain in the ass because it never really comes out right. And you know this from experience, right? What you think of and what actually comes out is two different things. Right?
Yes.
But here's the thing. It's as simple. Just throwing the character in a 3D model in like any kind of DCC package or any kind of game engine, and just run around with the camera.
Yeah, I'm contemplating
that.
that.
You had the shot.
Yeah, I'm really thinking about that. It's like my brain is cooling down because I'm still coming off an all-nighter.
Yeah, I know.
I was up till 5:30, and I was like, I have work in an hour. Fuck. This did not go well. So, but yeah, no, those are definitely avenues I want to look into. But this is about you. I want to talk about Abyssian Knights some more. And like how did you come up with the project? Like, what was an inspiration that said, hey, I want to make this story and go somewhere with it?
Originally, it was actually supposed to be a JRPG that we were going to build, actually.
Okay.
It went from a JRPG into a web series simply because we were building the JRPG, or at least conceptually building it, and then one of the people I was working with, they showed me Ruby.
Okay.
And literally it was more like, we can do that. In fact, we have the tech for it. Like, we might as well just build it ourselves, and that's really how it kind of worked. But story wise, as in everything, it was just. I got a thing for the whole secret society stuff and all that, so I wanted to just do something along those lines.
Okay,
right. Being a Freemason also doesn't help that at all, does it?
Probably not.
So it's basically this is my secret way of taking over the world through web series.
Approving.
Right.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, essentially one of the main inspirations was actually. Ruby, because prior to that, what I really wanted was I always wanted to do something that's more like a Hong Kong action movie. Mm-hmm. And when I saw Monty Oom's Dead Fantasy, I thought that was fucking awesome. Oh, God, right? And I was like, I need to do something like that. And so eventually, after I managed to get a couple friends on board, because doing this stuff solo was next to impossible. It took us like a year and a half to finally get or maybe just a year to the point where we kind of isolated enough content to get to where we can actually start building stuff and actually cranking out not really cranking out content, but more like building up the frameworks of what we needed and building up the characters and whatnot. Mm-hmm. It took us a long time because our original character designer dropped. And then somehow, I actually had no character designer for about 3 months.
Oh no!
And it was at that point, it was like, let's just shift focus a little bit, and while they find another character designer, and managed to get a hold of Umishima-san, and it was kind of like, yeah, you think you can help me do some character designs? And I honestly did not ever plan to actually get someone from Japan.
That's usually how it works, though. You never plan for something; it just happens.
Originally, it was just this was only going to be like an anime inspired kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Kind of like how most projects are over here. Right. But it's like when I managed to get her on board, I'm like, damn, we have like legit anime art now.
Like, they can't bitch. That is fantastic. So it's like, now, did the story come after the plan to turn something into an animated web series after you were like inspired by like Ruby, or was it just something you had beforehand and you're like, oh, let's convert this to that?
We've had a bunch of different things. Every time me and some of the other writers get in the writers' room and we just come up with stuff. We're working on one project, and anything I get kind of cool gets shoved into another folder or something, right? Uh-huh. With this particular project, we were originally running it in one particular direction. It's really just to build a very generic-ish kind of JRPG, just to get things started, right? Mm-hmm. But yeah, it started changing directions after we made the decision to actually go build a web series. Mostly because I wanted to make sure that whatever direction we go story-wise is something we can actually do.
You know what? I could totally relate to that because
I mean, as well as I do. Like, you can come up with elaborate things.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like, oh, do we have enough time and money to actually create all these extra characters?
Right. Like,
you know what I mean?
Like, I could totally relate to that. Like, I had the first book and I wanted to convert it and I wanted to change things. I didn't like it. Like, I liked the story and the plot, but I never fleshed certain things out, and I wanted to make the web series to flesh certain characters out, and that characters that were kind of just a trope and they didn't really they were just there, and I wanted to emphasize them more. So there was a lot of things I wanted to do with the season. Like, I was debating the bait and switch thing that a lot of people do, where they start off at the first episode with high action just to grab someone's attention, and then like shift back to the past boring crap. Like, we trapped you, you know. And I was like, that could work, but at the same time, I was like, I can't animate the mech stuff that I want to do for that.
Exactly.
And I would rather save that and do it chronologically when I can animate that. Because originally, the idea was to start the season with stuff from episode 6, which is the finale, and then it going back to how he got to that point.
Right.
But I was like, you know what? I can't do that. If I do it, I'm not going to do it justice. It's just not going to happen. So I was like, let's do it chronologically. Let's iron out the kinks. So it was like very dialogue heavy, just characters talking, some foreshadowing as stuff would go on. And then as I would go, I would experiment. It was like, all right, let's try this little mech scene. And like, okay, let's add a little more to this. And let's add this to the next episode. And eventually, by like the 4th episode, I just felt a lot more comfortable with mech animate. And then it was like, all right, I'm fine now. I'm going to keep improving, but I don't feel clunky now.
Exactly. But the thing is, you're working around what you can do. Right.
Exactly.
And that's exactly what I had to do in terms of the planning. And then with the Kickstarter, it just kind of makes it a little bit harder. Simply because, you know, a lot of folks on Kickstarter, they want that tangibility. They want to know that you already have something there. And I'm like, here's the problem. It's like, if I tell you one thing right now and we don't get enough and I still run with it, you're going to grill me for it because there's now a permanent record of it being this way.
See, and a lot of people I don't think about that, which is really good on you for like having that mentality. It's like, it seems like you just, like, from what I've gathered from looking, it's like you're just trying to start off small to show that, hey guys, I'm not full of shit. I am passionate. I could do this, and if you trust me, I'll give you this small snippet to prove that, you know, we can do it, and then go forward and maybe try and expand like after that.
And that's the thing. I mean, that's why when I launched the Kickstarter, I purposely left a lot of stuff out. So
right.
There was for the first 2 weeks there was no synopsis on there, and there was no descriptions on the characters, simply because it's kind of like, you know what, I decided to divide my market. So the first half I'm focusing on are those who can actually believe in me.
Okay.
So these are the guys that, you know what, even if I make a change or even if I have to delay something, they're okay with it because they know they believe that they know, at least they have the belief that I will deliver.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Whereas, as you know, it's like if I was catering for everyone and giving everyone stuff, it's kind of like, well, the problem is I don't know how many people I actually have that are what I call the true believers.
Right.
So my goal was, you know what, let me figure out how much I can raise from the true believers themselves. And they're always a very small market, but when you look at it in terms of, like, you know, customer lifetime value, these are the folks that actually have the highest overall value, because they're always going to be the ones that will, you know, support you all the way through. They're not going to ditch you because, you know, you're going a slightly different direction, or because, you know, you had to delay production by a month because, you know, somebody was sick.
Right.
It's like having worked on the support side for a couple other Kickstarter projects. It's kind of like, you know what, you have this huge mass of people who basically have no sympathy for you at all. It's kind of like, you know what, you promised us, you know, that this stuff would be delivered by now. Where is it? And
right.
If within, you know, if I don't get it within, like, you know, 30 days, I want my $10 back.
Yeah, that's like Mighty Number 9 in a nutshell.
Pretty much, and it was just mind boggling, because it's like, so you have these guys who are like, you put in $10, but you sound like you sound entitled, like you put in the whole $1 million to fund this.
Right, and it's like, I don't know why it's like with like the whole Mighty Number 9 debacle, I didn't really care. I was like, you know what? I'd rather have them delay the game to fix bugs that they're noticing and telling us about it than rush out a game that's gonna have issues. Like,
This is with Mighty Number 9. I had no problems with the delays. I was looking at when they were saying that they were doing 10 different SKUs.
yeah,
I'm like, yeah, you guys are not going to deliver on time, especially since you could be doing a simultaneous release across all of them.
yeah. I think they got a little ambitious at that point.
It's just one of those things. What people don't realize, and what a lot of indie developers don't realize is that just because your game engine actually can export to Windows, Mac, PC, and all the other consoles and all that, doesn't mean it actually works well across all of them.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not so when I'm consulting with other other indie companies who are doing these games, I'm like, focus on one platform. Don't do mobile and PC. That's dumb because the optimization levels can be very different, and you're not going to have enough QA, QC support to handle it, right? So yeah,
yeah. No, it's it's really interesting.
But yeah, I mean, like as of right now, though, since we've actually gone past the halfway point on our project, I actually have added the synopsis and
Yeah, I saw that. Oh, that's so. How many people are on like your staff? That was the question that I lost track of. Like, how many animes do you have, and like how many?
Let's see. There's really just me. I have one other person who basically originally started off as a writer, and she's actually moved on to also helping with a lot of the mocap cleanup. And beyond that, I have one part-time intern that comes in on the weekends, and have a couple of freelancers doing models. So really, in the end, there's like one full-timer, me. I have and everyone else is part-time who only shows up like one or 2 days a week on the weekends.
Okay, right.
Which
so
is so damn long.
Yeah, so it's a relatively small group, and like what you've shown on Kickstarter looks fantastic. For the who is bothering me? So it's like there's definitely the talent there, and it's like I want to see this happen, and I hope. I mean, you have 14 days to go. Did Kickstarter when it was like the whole project? Because I don't know much about how they run it since I just kind of stopped paying attention to Kickstarter. Did they just like, all right, we're tagging you as a project we love, and people can go look at the projects we love on a separate site, or did they like put you on the front page, or do they like contact you directly or anything like that?
I think it varies for everything, but it's actually getting that project we love thing was actually part of my marketing strategy. So the way I look at it is this: if you just push a project out, you're hoping that someone at Kickstarter sees it, right? And if you ever launch a Kickstarter project, it has to go through an approval process, right? And that's how they find it. But I think these days a lot of it's actually automated. So when I actually click submit it for approval, it was instantly approved. And this was on the Thursday before the Monday when I was going to. So I'm like, you know what? There was an option to submit for feedback.
Oh,
right. So that's what I did. I just submitted for feedback, and I was just hoping for the best that I would get it back, get some sort of comments back before. Because if I had to delay the launch by a couple of days, that's fine with me. But at least someone at Kickstarter saw this,
right?
Right? And that's really how we got this project we love thing right from the get go. Only because it's like someone actually saw the project and they actually liked it.
Right, it didn't go through the whole automated thing. You made sure someone noticed it.
I made sure someone noticed it, and that's how we got that. It doesn't mean you get featured though.
Right.
The front page feature thing actually has to be. It's actually something that they have to do manually. So someone there has to like it enough to actually go in and just say, hey, I want this project on the front page, and
right.
We were actually on the front page of film and animation for the first.
Nice.
So, and that was a lot.
That's awesome. So, like, I'm trying to think. Like, if this gets funded, like, what were your plans to distribute it? Or are you just going to have it like online for people to watch, to
Well,
build up the interest, or
pretty much. I mean, for all intents and purposes, the web series itself is going to be free. It's just going to go online, much like Ruby.
Right.
We don't monetizing on the web series itself. The way I look at it as, you know what, let me get a full season out, and if it's good, I can probably take it and shop it around to some of the other distribution channels. Simply because when you're looking at, you know, places like Netflix or any of these other streaming sites, they even though they create original content, it's cheaper for them just to like buy into something.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like if I have a full season of something, it's easy for me to sell to a company versus, hey, you know, I have a pilot, you fund the rest of it.
Oh my god, I have the same mentality, and it's so rare to find other people with that mentality. I come across some people who are like, oh, we're gonna make our independent, you know, our anime, and here's the pitch, and we're gonna get a studio to make it for us. I'm like, I mean, why don't you just build your audience, do it like
exactly
in a balanced manner that you can get attention or get a following and people to like back it and make the whole brand essentially, and then they're gonna want to see you improve it. Like if you look at like One Punch Man, you know, it was a web comic and the art was
not
like
the greatest.
No, it wasn't, but it's like it still was something that captured the attention of people, and that skyrocketed the popularity to get a manga and an anime. That is fantastic.
I mean, that's how it works, right? I mean, if you look at the anime industry in Japan, you don't find too many OVAs these days. I mean, Under the Dog was one of the few original animations that didn't exist as a manga or a video game or something else before that. It was literally an original thing they did.
Yeah,
very
it's really hard.
Very rare to find that because it's risky as hell, right? Which is why, you know, you almost only find anime these days that are, you know, and adaptations from manga or adaptations from video games or something else.
Yeah, so it's like if you want to make an anime, go make a manga first, it get popular, and then we'll make you an anime.
Pretty much. And that's the thing. But if you create some sort of content, you have an audience.
Yeah.
And when you have an audience, it just makes that sale that much more compelling because, you know, I can go up to a company and be like, hey, you know what? I have a full season of a web series. You know, each episode's only about 10, 11 minutes long.
Mm-hmm.
But I have this much of a following for it.
Yeah, right? That's good. And that's something you hear in publishing, too. For a lot of people, if they go into self-publishing, a lot of literary agents and like publishers tell them, like, don't do it. Or if you're going to do it, you can go back to traditional, but the only way is if you have proof of like a following. They're going to like publishers and agents are like, how much have you sold? You know, what are you bringing me, sort of thing.
Yes, I mean, like odds are, you know, I don't know what you do for a day job, but aside from actually, you know, running a video game company, I also have stakes at a film animation company, and that we're actually a production company, so we're the guys that usually gets things pitched to.
Okay.
So I kind of see it from the producers end all the time. So it's like, yeah. So if I'm going to do this thing myself, I better do it right because like I'm going to be the guy pitching it back to me.
See, and I like that. It's like you're vindicating my thought process because it's like you've seen that and you're coming up with that, and it's like I just thought that made more sense. You know, I was coming because I was dealing with a lot of literary agents, and because it's like I do mecha stuff, and it's not really a big thing in like America or North America in general. It's a very niche audience.
Very much is.
It really is, and it's like, you know, I remember I would talk to literary agents, and it's like a lot of them, they like the premise. They like, oh, I could see this being like a movie, but they couldn't see it as a book, or they just wouldn't know how to market it. So it had nothing to do with ability or writing talent. It had a lot to do with just the marketing. And they even said to me, they're like, you can self-publish, but if you want to go, which is something I did, like half-assed, that's like a story for another time. But like, it was something like they want you to establish your own audience if you're going to come back to try and be traditionally published, because like, all right, you make your first impression online and people know who you are, you're not really someone new, so they want to see what you're worth. Basically, what are you bringing to the table?
You're not a complete nobody.
Exactly, and
So
it's like
not risky.
right, and that's kind of what my whole thing with Shattered Heaven was. It's like first and foremost, passion for me. It's like I love the story. It was something that, writing it helped me through a lot of, issues and bad times in my life and whatnot. So it's like it was a very important story, and it's like I wanted to animate it. I was like, I didn't really care. I was like, oh, I'm gonna get popular. I was like, I don't give a shit about that. It's like I just wanted to make it animated. And then once I started messing around with animation, I just like kind of fell in love with it, and I was like, I want to keep getting better at this and just telling the story. And it's like I'm building an audience, and I have noticed, which is really cool, the same people commenting from episode to episode, and I have to say the coolest.
Those are your true believers, really.
Yeah, the coolest thing that I've ever gotten out of this is seeing people relate to the characters, mention have an opinion on the story or the characters. It's like it could be completely different from what I'm thinking, but the fact that someone cares enough to remember a character's name and to give a shit about forming an opinion on them is tremendous. It is
I'm
just
still waiting for that day.
Huh?
I'm still waiting for that day for myself.
Dude, it will happen. It's like, well, just looking at, this, once you get that going, that will happen. It looks that fantastic, and it's just obvious that when you do, and you find, as many more true believers as you phrase it, to back you, that's definitely going to happen. This is just guaranteed. So, like I said, you have 14 days to go. Are there where can people find you on social media?
Well, on social media, you can find me on Twitter, either under my personal Twitter under Bud Royce, or actually on the Abyssian Knights Twitter account, which is Regis Abyssian Knights. Okay. But otherwise, right now, we're on Facebook, but it's not that active because I try to just focus all my social media.
Facebook's horrible, by the way. It's not good anymore.
It's not great.
Twitter is I'm going to post the links in the description. But with Facebook, a lot of times hi, you've reached 1% of your follower base. Pay us $5 to $10 more to reach 3% of them. It's like, okay.
Yeah,
no.
I just look at it as right now. I don't want to be in the phase of trying to branch out too much. I mean, because right now my goal is to focus on the demographic that I call the true believers, and then and right now we're now focusing on what I call the visionaries, basically people who kind of believe but need a little bit of convincing.
Right.
So
because they've been burned before.
It's focused right onto the Kickstarter page. Because really, that's where all the content is.
Yeah.
Right? Eventually, once this takes off, then I'll activate the forum on the website. At least that way, we have everyone in one single place. Because personally, I find having social media split across Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and however many other places there are, it just feels fragmented.
Yeah, I get that. It's I understand 100%. It's nice to have them all in one spot.
Pretty much. I mean, the way I look at it is, I don't want to have a one-to-one conversation with everybody. I want people to have a many-to-many conversation. So it's kind of it's one of those things. I'd rather be on the forums where you could be talking to me, but then someone else could be talking to you and me at the same time.
I feel like forums are going away, which makes me sad because it's like
one of those things where it's like they're still there, but at the same time, on the outskirts, it's slowly disappearing.
Yeah.
But what you'll find is, forums for the most part have been replaced by Facebook groups.
Yeah.
Right. Which are almost the same, but not quite, because on Facebook groups, it's kind of like, it almost is a forum, but at the same time, it's heavily moderated, I find. And personally, I would just rather have a forum where it's open, and if you have it,
you're right. Facebook groups tend to be really moderated. I didn't even think of that.
Otherwise, it's Reddit.
Otherwise, it's like Reddit. Yeah. But yeah, so I'm going to have these links in there. Definitely people, I mean, because we're going at like 50 minutes right now. um, People should check this out. Like, it looks really good, and it's a very unique way of doing this. And it's like it's very difficult to not say it's a visionary way that you're approaching this project. And it has,
Different.
yeah, it's extremely different, and it's genius. It's genius to cut rendering times and just everything. And like I said, it's if you're listening to this and you haven't checked it out, go check it out. It's there are very few, there are so many projects on Kickstarter, and there are so very few that actually I feel deserve more attention, and this is definitely one of them. Granted, I'm also very high into the whole, yes, let's find other indie creators that are trying to make web content, online content, their own original creation, and let's get them like shown and promoted and all their stuff out there. So I might be biased, but I heavily believe that this should have a lot more attention than it's getting. He's got 14 days left, and he's got what, 19,000 more to go, US dollars wise anyway.
So 24K Canadian short, but traction has kicked in a whole lot since yesterday.
Oh yeah,
by several 100%. Because yesterday I made $6, and right now I'm at 500.
Oh, okay.
So it's not bad.
No, it's not. So that's awesome. Is there like anything else? It's like I really enjoy talking with you about a lot of these different perspectives, and it's like I feel like this conversation can go on forever. Like it's branching into different like categories and the whole concept of like online content creation and animation.
Okay, well,
So is there anything that you want to like plug or say about your project that you want to?
not really. Back the project. And if you think it's not real anime, just to be vocal about it, because then we can throw that out there and have that argument too, right?
It's not anime. Yes, it is. We have an actual person that worked in the anime industry. But yeah, you've got a great project going on here, and I love your mentality behind all of it. It's fantastic.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, dude, I wish you nothing but the best of luck with this. I'm going to share this where I can, as I do, because it should be shared. So yeah, guys, thanks for listening to this podcast that'll eventually have a name. When I figure out what I'm going to call it, which will probably have a more professional ending than what I'm saying right now. But yeah, it was really great talking with you about this. Completely on a whim. I was like, hey, you want to come on a podcast?
Always have these things.
But yeah, so let's wrap that up. So again, thanks for listening. Make sure you check out Abyssian Knights on Kickstarter. Give it some love. Give it some money. Let's make it happen. But again, thank you so much for joining me on this, experimental thing. And all right, guys, I'll talk to you next time. I'll probably have, by the time I do a second one, or even by the time this one comes up, I might have a better schedule idea of how this is going to work. But so that's all I got. You guys have a good night.